Most people think abuse comes from anger, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is entitlement, the belief that someone deserves to control you. They deserve to silence you and make you smaller just so that they can feel bigger. Welcome back, family, to Faith in the Fire, where honesty meets healing. I'm Sheffrin Fitzgerald, and in episode 1, we uncovered what abuse looks like on the outside. And today, we're going deeper. We are peeling the layers of this onion of abuse into the mind and going into the mind of what is behind the harm. Because once you understand how an abusive person thinks, their behavior stops looking random and it starts looking more like a pattern that you can see, right? And once you see the pattern, it's harder to be confused. Abuse doesn't start with a punch. It doesn't start with a slap in the face. It doesn't start with someone just kicking you, giving you a black eye. It doesn't start there. It absolutely starts with a belief. And that belief, these abusive people, I deserve more than you do. Now, I got some points to bring this home. And I want you to, if you have to, you're going to write it down. Or go back and take another listen because I want you to get it. Because if you're in an abusive relationship, you're not safe. Family, abuse is rooted in entitlement. That's number one. Entitlement. Entitlement to them is the belief that someone deserves special access, special treatment, or a special type of authority, right? And that's simply because they want it. In abusive relationships, entitlement can sound like, I should not have to answer to you. You should do what I say. My needs matter more than yours. And have you ever heard this before? If you love me, you would comply. But they're not going to say it like that. If you love me, you wouldn't do this. If you love me, you would do this. Now, this mindset is dangerous because it turns a relationship into a hierarchy instead of a partnership. They want to be your dictator. They want that. Instead of two people moving with mutual respect, one person starts acting like they are above the other. And I'm not talking about loving. I'm not talking about submitting, right? Because they can use that and use it against you. And that's spiritual abuse. I'm not talking about that. Instead of two people moving with mutual respect for each other, one person starts acting like they are above the other. And they don't ask, right? They demand it. They do not negotiate this with you. They're going to enforce it. And this is why abusive behavior often gets worse when the next person or the other person, they start setting those boundaries. A boundary is not just an inconvenience to a person who feels entitled. It's a threat to their sense of power. They want it, they're going to take it, and that's by any means necessary, including tearing you down and tearing your character down. Point number two, family. Come on. Point number 2. Control is often mistaken for love. And I know you might find that hard to believe, but control for survivors, right? It's taught a certain way, and this is definitely on purpose. Survivors are taught to interpret control as care. A partner wants to know where you are at all times, right? Right? That's control. I just want to know where you are. I just want to make sure that you're okay, right? And I'm not talking about checking in with your loved one once a day. This person is going to check on you. Where are you? You were supposed to be here 5 minutes ago. Where are you? I thought you said you were going to be here. You're lying. Control. And they're going to call it concern. They limit who you want to talk to. I don't like you talking to that person. I don't think that person is good for you, and they don't have any real reason behind it. Or they'll make up something. I don't like the way she talked to you. I don't like how she talked to me. I remember this part. This person wanted me to not talk to my own mother. And they're going to say, I'm just looking out for your well-being. They're going to call it protection. Or another form of they're going to criticize your clothes, right? I don't like what you're wearing. They're going to criticize your friends. I don't like who you're talking to. They're going to criticize your tone, the way that you speak, your schedule, and they're going to mask it as love. But what it is control. Family, love does not need to shrink a person in order to feel strong. Love does not. Healthy love, especially healthy love, does not do that. It's going to give you room to breathe, to think, to grow, to speak. Control does the opposite. Healthy love lets you move and breathe and be who you are. Control says, no matter what you do, if I don't like it, you should stop. Control narrows your mind until the abusive person becomes the center of everything. And when I say everything, you're going to look to your partner for everything. How to think, how to speak, how to dress, how to move, where to go, when to get there, when to get back. Do you want that type of life for yourself? Coercive control is about making a person subordinate, independent by isolating them, exploiting all of their resources, and regulating their everyday behavior. That, family, is not love. That is domination. And they want to get you there before they even slap you on your face, before they kick you, before they throw you down a flight of steps. Before any of this. Point number 3, abusive people often resist accountability. One of the clearest signs of abusive thinking is a deep resistance to accountability, right? They are not going to be held accountable for anything. And when you confront them, an abusive person is going to deny it. They're going to deflect. They're going to minimize it. They're going to turn the conversation back on the person that they are abusing. Instead of hearing, you have hurt me, or I'm upset, they're going to say, well, you hurt me too. They hear what the problem as an attack on their image, on who they are. That's what they hear. You could be trying to fix a problem and all they hear is that you are attacking them. This is why a lot of times the arguments with abusive people go round and round in circles. You may bring up a specific topic to them and suddenly the entire conversation gets deflected back onto you. It gets switched. Listen to a person and how they speak when you bring up a problem. What is their tone? How do they sound? Do they have an attitude? Are they lacking forgiveness? Or are they sorry? Okay, you know what? Let me try to fix this, right? Or does the issue just disappear? You, as the survivor, do you end up defending your reaction while your abuser escapes accountability? His responsibility, her responsibility. Are they deflecting that? That pattern, family, is not by accident. This is just their playbook. This is what they do. They deflect. It's going to protect their power, not you. And then you're going to constantly have to keep defending yourself against things that they have done. And there's no healing, and there's no peace. If they have to fully face the harm that they're going to cause you or that they've been causing you, they never have to change the system that benefits them. They don't have to face it. They don't have to face that harm. Then they don't have to change. Point number 4, shame is not the same as remorse. Sometimes abusive people They actually do cry. They do apologize. They do promise to change, right? And sometimes it's emotional. And you think, oh my goodness, he really does care. But emotion is not the same as repentance. A person can feel ashamed about being exposed without actually being sorry for what they did. They can feel that shame, but you know what? They could also not feel sorry. They could not care. And I know you think that, oh, he really does love me. He's crying. No, no. Sometimes, I'm not saying all men. Hear my heart. I'm not saying all men. But remorse looks like ownership, consistency, and changed behavior over time. That is remorse. That is metanoia. That is the complete turning around. It is a changed mind and a changed behavior. Shame often looks like panic. It looks like self-pity. It looks like blame shifting, and that's why they're going to blame you, right? Or a demand that you confront them. So in other words, the focus stays on their feelings instead of your safety. So when you confront them, it's how dare you? Not on I don't feel safe. If you went to them and said, I don't feel safe, the response is thrown back on you. Now, this is the reason why survivors get stuck. And I know that people have a hard time trying to understand why women or men stay in abusive relationships. And because they're stuck because they see the emotion, they hear the words, but the absolute part of it is that they're not changing, or they'll change for a week or a couple of days, and then the cycle repeats. But the mindset never changed. The mindset never changes. Number 5, their mindset, the abusive person, is reinforced by isolation and secrecy. This is how they keep you stuck. Abusive thinking grows stronger when it's hidden. You have nobody to talk to. If the survivor feels too ashamed to tell anyone, right, that they are being abused or that abuse is happening, right, the abuser gets to control the story. Of course, he gets to control the story because she's not speaking up or he's not speaking. He's not telling what's really going on behind closed doors. Why? Because we tell him what happens behind closed doors. What happens here stays here. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All right. If friends and family and church members or your support system is cut off, then the survivor has reality, less of a reality check with fewer people. When I say reality check, I mean like because they are in this abusive relationship, they're looking at it one way. Now, a person in the pit can only see the pit. And sometimes it takes a person out of the pit to help someone see the total reality of what they are going through. Isolation it's not just about being physically alone. It's about being psychologically trapped. It's about feeling like nobody would understand, like nobody would believe you, and nobody could help you if you tried to leave. That's the trick. That's the trick of the enemy. Nobody's going to get it. Nobody's going to love you. Nobody's going to understand. Nobody's going to support you. I was there. And while there were a very big handful of people that did not support me, God did place some people in my life that would. And so if you're in a situation, yeah, I'd suggest you tell somebody. You keep talking because then at that moment, the enemy no longer has power over you. The abusive person no longer has control because now you can get the help that you need. That is why support matters so much. Domestic violence hotlines and trained advocates exist to help people think clearly, to make safety plans and get grounded in reality. And sometimes what a survivor needs, what a person needs, what you may need is not a lecture. Why are you still in this? Why are you still here? Why are you still doing this? Why don't you just leave? Sometimes a survivor needs a witness, someone to help them. So, here are my 2 questions for you, or for anyone who is dealing with this or knows someone that is dealing with a person who is in an abusive relationship. Okay? Talking about the mindset behind abuse. In what ways have I confused control with care because I was taught to equate love with sacrifice at my expense? Huh? And number 2, where have I been minimizing entitlement because the person sounded apologetic after being confronted? Where have I been minimizing entitlement? So, family, the mindset behind abuse is not simply bad temper. It's not that. It's not a bad temper. It's a way of thinking that places one person's wants above another person's dignity. And once you see entitlement clearly, you begin to understand why boundaries feel so threatening to abusive people. They feel entitled. I want what I want. Come back, because in the next episode, we're going to talk about how abusers absolutely hook people early with charm, with that great attitude, their attention, the false hope, the future faking. Because the same person who later demands control, right, and allegiance often begins by making you feel chosen, making you feel seen. That's part of what happens, right? When when they choose you. And this is what starts in the beginning. So, family, if you or someone you know is in immediate danger, call local emergency services. In the United States, the domestic violence hotline is open 24/7, and the number is 1-800-799-7233. Family, we're talking about the mindset. The mindset. My name is Sheffrin Fitzgerald. Come back for episode 3. Have a great day.